Are you a new car buyer looking to value a stranger's biased opinion that is sorely incompetent? You've clicked on the right video. This video on the surface may seem like just another all new cool cars in 2025 and 2026 video, but I promise you this is different. Why is this, you might very reasonably ask? This is, as a current engineering student, I'm going to apply a bite-sized version of what we call the engineering design process to hopefully help you in choosing the best future car for your needs. What we will do is break up cars into my favourite types of cars so you don't feel overwhelmed and list criteria that these cars should meet for that specific category. We will shortlist potential options and then briefly analyse and waffle about them to jump to a conclusion of what I think is the winner, and indeed my favourite. As a warning, in this video we won't be covering facelifts or minor updates to cars such as the GR Yaris adding in a torque converter, but you might be wondering, why are there no commuter, utes and family cars or even hypercars in the timestamps? That's cause these type of cars just don't get me excited at all, to be honest, when I hear about them in the news, and I'm way too poor to ever own a hypercar anyways. Let's begin. For the first type of car we'll cover, we want a specific type of profile. A few commenters from our rear-wheel drive hot hatches video have expressed the need for a car that is really small that can fit into tight parking spaces in countries like England and Spain. This is the A segment car. Let's take the length of a modern V500 as 3,571mm. So we want a car that is close enough to this length but will be released in the upcoming 2 years. Whilst there are no future cars that have been announced, let us know if there is so. They are either the same or smaller in length than the V500. There is the Renault Twingo E-Tech, measuring a roughly 3,750mm. Whilst it is almost 20cm longer, it is still classified on Wikipedia as an A segment car, with production ready to begin in 2026. Whilst it's an EV, which I'm personally not a fan for, I am intrigued by the styling. It looks bizarre to say the least. Anyways, let's move on. My favourite type of car. The quintessential one-car garage if you want to take the family for a grocery run and run a hot lap on the weekends. To keep the tradition of the hot hatch alive, in my humble opinion, we must choose one that best embodies the character of the greats in the segment, like the GTI, Type R and Focus RS, while still being modern and practical for daily use. But what components make up this great character? Firstly, no EV. Secondly, it needs to have that lightweight, fun feeling where you can drive it at low speeds to the shops and still enjoy it, while still being practical. With these factors being considered, the one car which, due to only being exclusively available in Spain, I can't pick as the winner, is the Skoda Fabia Rally 2. Whilst I personally resonate with it the most due to it being so light at just over 1.2 tons, it's only limited to 100 cars. But our pick for this segment for the best new upcoming hot hatch in 2025 is the F66 Mini John Cooper Works. Packing a new snappy 7-speed DCT, this car makes a reasonable 228 horsepower and 380 Nm of torque, which is 60 Nm up from the previous gen. Whilst it's quite a bit heavier than that Fabia Rally 2 at just over 1.4 tons, its wheelbase of 2,495mm means that it's on par with the new Ford Fiesta ST's wheelbase, which is literally the benchmark small hot hatch to buy in this market, while still packing 28 more horsepower. If I had to make a prediction, this will be surprisingly playful and agile despite its weight, thanks to that ridiculously short wheelbase for a hot hatch. Unfortunately though, it's like 15k more expensive in Australia. But that British racing green, my word, proper heritage. Whilst the BMW B48 engine in these bad boys doesn't quite chat to the likes of the K20C in the new Type R and even the EA 888.3s in the Mark 7.5 GTI in terms of longevity, it's still one of the most reliable BMW engines in the modern era. And another thing, I implore you to listen to the sound of this car stock. One of the best sounding 4-pumpers in the biz in my humble opinion. With that being said, let's interlude to a coffee break. Do you want to take the family on a track day but still don't trust Korean reliability despite that 2-litre engine in the Kona N being one of the most robust to date in a modern hot SUV? Well, I might have an antidote for you. Introducing the 2025 Lexus LBX Merizo RR. Lexus's first ever sporty SUV. Yeah, I get that they've made much more powerful SUVs, but I reckon this is on another level of spice in terms of the handling, at least compared to the SUV range. Unlike the Kona N in Japan at least, you can get this in a manual. That's right, The last time Lexus put a 6-speed manual in their car was almost 20 years ago in the IS250, whilst we Aussies only get the 8-speed auto. Shame on you, Lexus. Shame. The Kona N to the i30N is basically what this car is to the GR Corolla, or hot hatch on stilts. It uses the same G16E GTS engine derived from the GR Yaris and Corolla, and whilst the Maritza RR weighs the same, it outputs much less power than the GR Corolla's 221 kilowatts, instead at 206 kilowatts, which is 276 horsepower, which is the same as the Kona N. It also comes from a factory with a rear Torsen LSD. Personally, besides the dodgy front grille design, I quite like it. Lexus have sorely needed a car with a bit of personality for a while now that isn't a V8, and I love that it blends that hot hatch DNA with the usual suspects of luxury and high craftsmanship that Lexus is renowned for. But it costs over 80,000 Australian dollars drive away. Ouch. Also, for the steering feel lovers from one of our last videos, this car might have something for you. Lexus have claimed the Maritza RR has been fitted with response enhancing damping structure, which uses thermoset resins in the front lower control arms to apparently enhance steering response and feel. So when this car does drop into showrooms, we'll see if the steering purists online enjoy it or not. Right, back to the action. Sports cars can mean many things to many people. To some, they're a pure, lightweight and raw driving experience, akin to a Lotus or Miata, but to others, it's a numbers game, with the best sports car being the fastest on the drag strip and the track. What school of thought do I fit in? Definitely the former. Even though I appreciate my car's lovely daily drivability, its handling at the limit leaves a lot to be desired, and in my eyes, a lightweight driving experience is the closest thing to driving a go-kart on the streets. And having gone go-karting before, that sounds sick. Let's list 3 of my favourite future sports cars. Whilst it gets deducted points for being an EV, which for me personally lacks any soul compared to a proper internal combustion engine car, the Alpine A110 e-Turnite is still a great choice. Despite being an EV, it only weighs 258 kilos more whilst having double wishbone suspension all round, which is an absolute win for handling due to reasons not limited to increased negative camber during compression. And best of all, it's a convertible. So if you want a Miata but care about your environmental footprint, we highly recommend that you buy this car, even though we don't quite know the price yet. Now, onto the power of dreams with this new Honda Prelude. It's a middle ground between that new Alpine and our winner for this category, with the Prelude now being a hybrid. Reportedly using a 2-litre hybrid engine making 154 kilowatts, it's a 4-seater coupe, which, like the old Preludes, is front-wheel drive, whilst having multi-link rear suspension and weighing at just 1,350 kilos with a wheelbase that's a tad longer than a Elantra N. I'm predicting its handling to be pretty neat. Looks wise, it's quite lovely. I've got something interesting for you. If you look at the rear of this car, you can call it as a prelude to our winner of this category because of how similar they look at the back. This is the 992.2 911, in particular the Carrera T. Was there any other winner? This ticks all our boxes in terms of the quintessential sports car. Fully petrol powertrain, engaging manual gearbox, lightweight and balanced driving dynamics with the RR layout, which we explain more in depth in our understeer guide. And lastly, class-leading steering feel, which Porsche has claimed to improve by adding rear wheel steering and a more direct steering ratio. Not only do I reckon it drives amazing, but it looks amazing as well. Absolutely gorgeous from any angle. Might be my dream car at this point in time. Whilst 911s have looked virtually the same over the years, it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? For the speed hunters out there who need one car to do everything, pay attention to this next section. If you're a regular commuter on the Autobahn and want a do-it-all daily driver, you've come to the right place. But let's add some extra tidbits to the criteria which I personally think makes a cracker super saloon. It should not just be absurdly quick, have great practicality in the shape of a wagon, but it should also have great handling for a casual Nürburgring hot lap, and ideally, to keep the weight down and keep the soul of the car fully pure, be entirely a petrol engine. Whilst the new Audi S5 Avant and M5 Touring are great and have loads of power, not as much in the S5, the hybrid powertrains don't sound as good and add weight, meaning the handling isn't quite as nimble, and surprisingly, the 0 to 100 time isn't as quick as a winner for this segment, which is the upcoming 2025 M3 CS Touring. Whilst boasting 543 horsepower, which is a whopping 174 horsepower less than the G99 M5 Touring, it also helps that the M3 CS weighs only 1,764 kilos of curb weight, which is over 3/4 of a ton lighter than the M5 Touring. The only powertrain in the M3 CS is a whopping twin-turbo inline-6 S58 that sounds pretty glorious, possibly the best-sounding BMW M engine since the N55 in the OG M2. So you have that, and great handling on the track with long straights such as the Nürburgring, a 0 to 60 mph time of 2.91 seconds, and a recorded top speed of 306 km an hour. Add it all up, you are possibly the best super saloon ever. But what if you wanted something that will ascend your soul every time you rev it out, but you have an unlimited money glitch? It's time to move on to our penultimate category, which is supercars. Take two things, a fitness influencer and gear. This is what a supercar basically is. A street legal sports car with some serious firepower underneath that makes you feel another way. Let's list my personal ones out of a supercar. I want it to be a V12, the handle was amazing, and ideally still possess some of that lightweight feel from world-class sports cars like the 911. If I wanted speed out of a supercar, I'd go with any of the EVs or something, to be honest. But the most important thing about a supercar for me has to be the feel. Listening to a high performance V12 is something from another dimension, man. No other engine can match that rawness and purity, and no, not even the Lexus LFA. I know, crazy hot take, but trust me, when you search up how these cars sound, you might change your mind faster than a Porsche PDK shifts gears. The first car we'll cover out of the new 2025 releases is the third generation Aston Martin Vanquish, packing a twin turbo 5.2 litre V12 making 824 horsepower. Whilst it is quite portly at 1,774 kilos, remember, this is a V12 with two turbos attached to it. Despite us talking down on torque converters having rev hang in our last video, you gotta remember, this is an Aston Martin, so of course this is gonna be an outlier in terms of how fast this thing can shift. That being said, I don't think the sound is as good as the other two cars. The first one being the Ferrari 12-cylinder, having a mighty 6.5 litre V12 engine pushing 819 horsepower. The difference is, this bad boy revs to over 9,500 RPM. That's literally F1 territory. However, my winner is something special, even that famed fire-breathing Ferrari can't reach, due to being a bit heavier at 1,560 kilos and packing an 8-speed Magna PT dual-clutch transmission, which is lightning quick, but doesn't quite have the fuel engagement of his godlike car. Think Ayrton Senna 1991 with the MP4C, but as a road legal car with two seats. This is Horacio Pagani's masterpiece, the Utopia Roadster. This thing's an absolutely vicious sounding V12 M158 engine pushing 852 horsepower but with a 7-speed manual. And you can buy one brand new, if you had unlimited money of course. And the craziest thing about the Roadster, it weighs the same as the normal Utopia at 1,280 kilos. That's the same curb weight as a modern GID6, bro. Absolute insanity. Whilst the Ferrari is more rev happy and sonorous, I'd have to give it to the Utopia Roadster for harking back to the old days where supercars were truly about the feel and jaw-dropping design that made everyone turn their heads as they drove through the crowded city streets. With that all out of the way, let's head into concluding remarks. The Future Car Olympics. Who fell and who triumphed? Let's announce my personal podium. My third favourite car out of his upcoming cars is the BMW M3 CS Touring. It'd probably be the car that best suits my life, with its insane all-round capability. But I don't know, with the roads and speed limits around here, not really much you could do to stretch his legs besides go on a track, and even then, there are better handling cars much cheaper. The silver medal goes to the 992.2 Carrera T, and even though it has a 6-speed manual, that twin-turbo engine doesn't quite get my spine tingling like the winner does, which you might have guessed it already to be the Pagani Utopia Roadster. Like, come on bro, imagine going on a scenic drive in Sicily in this thing with the wind blowing in your face. Absolutely peak life experience, but it'll cost me all my limbs to even come close to affording one of these 130 planned units. If we missed any other future cars in 2025 and 26 you're very excited for, leave them in the comments. Thanks for the massive support again, and I'll see you in a bit.